Hey guys, welcome back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm your host Shinry. Here at Everything Anime Podcast, I've been from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, whatever I'm talking about. Today's video is on the My Hero Academia movie, You're Next. So, My Hero Academia's manga ended maybe like a month or two ago. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember the date. I did do a review on My Hero Academia's War arc, Deku's Dark Side arc, as well as like my thoughts on Himiko Toga versus Ochako, Uraka, whatever her name. That's not how I want to say, but that's her name. I think I remember. And I talked about the Fire and Ice guy, whose name I keep forgetting. Let me look up his name. I keep calling him Fire and Ice guy. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. Shoto. Todoroki. Okay. So now I know his name. Shoto. But I kind of get my thoughts. I was kind of like, the war kind of started out of nowhere. The Dark Hero arc was like 6 chapters and like one battle with the sniper woman, and then it was over. And then, the way the war was handled was kind of rushed. I felt like we needed more. Iron Mike came out of nowhere. Like, there was a lot. So I'm not going to go back through all of that. If you want to watch My Hero Academia videos, there are not that many on this channel, but there's a My Hero Academia playlist, so you can watch all those and catch up on my thoughts on My Hero Academia. This movie, let's talk about the placement. This movie takes place, I think, during the war, because the stomach light guy's not there. He's not a part of Class 1A currently, and we know he was a part of Class 1A in the war, but it's definitely post-Dark Hero arc because Deku's back. So it's kind of like we're either in the war or we're prepping for the war. Like, this is just before All for One comes in, which is kind of weird because My Hero Academia ended, so you would think he'd do a movie after, like post My Hero Academia, but whatever. One thing that did get me interested about this movie, without going through my notes completely, I will be using notes, but not word for word. One thing that did get my attention completely was this whole Dark Might, like a villain who wants to warp the ideas that All Might inspired. Like, when All Might pointed and he said, "You're next. The next generation is you." Any hero could think that's him. Obviously, the main character is Deku. Deku knows he was talking about him. He's the one that inherited All for One for All. But anybody that wants to aspire to be a hero could think, "Oh, my talking to you like you're next." This was post him defeating All for One the second time on screen. We do actually see the first fight between him and All for One's ending, where All Might punched All for One in the face, and it was implied that he knocked his face off, but in this, he just knocked him unconscious, took him down. All for One already had the ugly ass face. It'd have been more interesting if All for One had his human face, All Might punches him, and then he gets that ugly ass face, that grotesque face. That would have made more sense to me. That's how I would have wrote it narratively. But I guess All for One always was that fucking ugly, I guess. But that's fine. That's not a big deal. So we saw their first fight. We know how their second fight went. All Might used the last of the will of fire from All One for All, and defeated him at the class academy, student academy, whatever, UA Academy. And so when this movie opens up, the villain's like, "Oh, he's talking to me. I'll surpass you, All Might. I would do what you can't." And his whole motivation is that All Might was seen as the most powerful because he was the strongest. No one could defeat him. And he has this warped sense of justice. He's like, "Well, I'm now the strongest hero," or, well, he's a villain, but he wants to claim himself as hero. "I'm now the strongest hero, Dark Might, and all the world will bow down to me and my crime syndicate family called the Gulini family. They're a crime syndicate." We get to see some of them. We don't learn all of their names or what all of their quirks are, but there were some interesting quirks. I'll talk about those as well. But yeah, that's his main motivation. He wants to basically become the new symbol of peace through like basically a dictatorship. Like, as long as I'm the most powerful, All Might, I will be your I'm your proclaimed predecessor. You didn't choose me as your predecessor. I'm just saying that I'm your predecessor. And he says this All Might directly as well. His quirk, they never say outright what his quirk is, because it seems like he has multiple quirks, but it's said towards the end of the movie like he only has one quirk, but like the power we're going to talk about her, but the power that this girl gives him, which is called over modification, it like enhances your quirk, like multiplying it multiple times. And so it makes him seem like he has multiple quirks, but again, they never said what his quirk was. If you know what it is, comment below, but like I did not hear what his quirk was called. And Deku, of course, challenged him directly. He's like, oh, you're not a hero, because as I said, he's kind of like a dictator. So like, he unleashes this villain to like kind of make his like first grand appearance. And the way he does this, like he can like throw these coins and like just make things appear, like ships and cameras and giant fists. I mean, I guess this is quirk like manifestation or something like that. It's like never outright said, but that's what I'm assuming. It's like some kind of manifestation ability after throwing these coins. But yeah, Deku challenges him because he unleashes like a villain, and like to stop him, he like destroys buildings that like all these other people are around. And Deku's like, oh, you're no hero. You're endangering the lives of everybody else, trying to make yourself look good. And he's like, well, so what? If I'm the strongest, someone's going to stand up to me anyway. So, and also Dark Might doesn't even care about killing his own villains, because some of his subordinates, they like fail him. Like they like trap all of the UA students, class 1A, in like this like illusion world. Like, again, he manifests this like ship, and it teleports like people and all of class 1A in the area inside this building. And one of his minions that he tells to go stop these students, they get defeated, and he like kills them outright. He kills like two of his subordinates, two of the Golini family, crime syndicate members. But that's definitely a way to show like, well, one, we already know he wasn't a hero, but like two, like that he's just ruthless. It's like a villain that'll kill his subordinates, kind of like Shiki the Golden Lion in One Piece film film Strong World. Shiki killed one of the scientists because he mispredicted the weather, like compared to Nami, who warned him that a storm was coming, and that's when he took Nami. So definitely love that. Also, when the movie opens up, Deku's using all his quirks. He's like combining them. He combines like float with like air. I forgot what that thing is, like air rockets, whatever. You know how he like flicks his hands and shoots like rockets, and then like something else, whiplash or whatever, black whip. And I was like, I know we saw some of these powers develop over the series, but some of them weren't even fleshed out. Like Smoke Screen came out of nowhere, Fajin came out of nowhere. Like he had already just mastered it off screen in the Dark Hero arc. Those are things where like if you had made the Dark Hero arc longer, we could have fleshed them out. And Smoke Screen does seem useful in this movie. All the other powers are useful too. Dangerous Sense, of course. But like, it's just stuff we wish we had seen Deku use, because like him mastering all these abilities and mixing them together and using them so fluently and perfectly. I'm like, in other anime and manga, even short ones, we see the characters like struggle with their powers, master their abilities, and then use them like in this creative, fun way. And I know by the end of the war arc, like Deku had mastered all his 7 powers. Speaking of which, we never saw All Might use these other powers. Like if All Might had access to all other, at the time, 7 users of One for All, why did All Might never be seen showing using these abilities? I mean, like even when he's fighting all for one in the beginning of the movie, he could have done some stuff showing off All Might using those powers. Instead, All Might just finishes him with one punch. I would have loved seeing like All Might using these abilities, because all we knew from All Might is that he was super strong. It would have been cool to see him use his other abilities. It would be like, oh shit, Deku's gonna get those. You know what I mean? So just another story thing I would have threw in there. So I talked about Deku's strong powers and mastering them. Some members of the Golini family that I can name and that I can remember. Bruno Golini, he can slow down time in like a certain space or barrier around him. It kind of gives me Trafalgar Law, when Trafalgar Law does room, and then like, everything in Trafalgar Law's room or space, he can like, teleport or move around, cut up, and it'll still be alive. Golini can slow down time to slow down momentum, not time. Well, I guess it's slow down time. Slow down the momentum is probably more like a better way of saying it. Whatever's in his space, like make it slow down while he moves at his own pace. There's another one, a woman, I never caught her name the entire movie. She casts illusions through her eyes, making you see your heart's desires. This was pretty creative, especially the way they use it and the way they show it in the movie. It's also like how she can make like people like, you know, like they basically control this one girl. Her name is Anna. I'm gonna get to her at the very end. She's the major not plot device. She's the main person of interest in this movie that Dark Might and Deku and this other guy are all trying to get to. But yeah, this one Gulini member syndicate woman, she can cast illusions and make you see your heart's desires, which is done in a very fun, creative way. Paolo Gulini is a person who can erase quirks within a certain range. He's kind of like a racer, except he doesn't have to be looking at you. You just have to be within a certain space. So he can create like a space, just like Trafalgar, just like Bruno, to erase everybody's quirks but his own within his space. But he can also create a separate space within that to allow people, his allies, to like be able to still use their quirks. So basically, your enemies create a wide space where they can't use their quirks, create a smaller space where your allies can attack them with their own quirks. Very useful, very, very cool as well. There was a butler. There's like this team duo, like this butler who can use telekinesis, and then this big, large Hulk guy that can teleport. That was pretty fun and creative. I like seeing their like team up. But I mean, outside of that, I liked more that like the smaller guy wasn't one that could teleport. It was the bigger guy. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny that the bigger guy could teleport. Kind of give him Batalo Mukuma. Although Batalo Mukuma can't teleport, he has a pop off free. He can just send things far away, including himself, so kind of like teleporting. But yeah, again, a very good creative way. There's also Simon Gulini, who I'm not even sure if he had a quirk or if he did, what he even does, because he's kind of played as a joke. Like he calls himself the Game Master. Like at one point, Team Bakugo, there's 3 teams. Team Bakugo, Team Shoto, Team Deku, you know, the usual main 3 characters. I thought they were going to switch it up. I'm talking about something towards the end. I thought they were going to switch it up, like showing off everybody helping like they did in Heroes Rising. And I'll talk about the rating at the end. But I gotta be like Heroes Rising, where Heroes Rising, we got to see all of our heroes use their abilities and show off. Whereas the other 2 movies, like the first My Hero Academia movie, didn't really care for it, kind of got bored. The third one, World Mission, I kind of zoned out towards the end. The middle part was boring, so that's kind of why I zoned out towards the end. But the beginning of World Mission I liked. The ending of World Mission I was already zoned out because the middle part was so long and boring. This one was definitely number 2. So Heroes Rising is definitely, the second movie, definitely number 1. I'm not talking about the name, I'm talking about it now. And then this movie would be number 2, and then World Mission, and the other one probably, World Mission probably 3rd, and the first one probably 4th. Again, just the way I thought about them. But yeah, we never really see what Simon can do. He just told like he's a game master and he gets eliminated. So now let's talk about the main character that everybody's after. So there's this girl named Anna who can create like these flower illusions on people's bodies if they touch her. This only happens though if you're compatible, like if your body is compatible with hers. And what that means is like if you're compatible, she will amplify your power immensely. That's why Dark Might wants her, because she can make him stronger than stronger than any hero that exists. And if you're not compatible with her, you're just inflicted with pain and you pass out from exhaustion. Now, the thing about this is she can't control her power. Like her power is always on. It's kind of given like that book Shatter Me I just read and finished. I mean, I know Juliet/Ella, she can control her powers towards the end of the book. She finds out how, but like it's kind of like that, like where Ella/Juliet in Shatter Me, she thought her power was always on. If you touched her body, you would just be like electrocuted, or like your body would lose life force, or like what's her name, Rogue from X-Men. Like if she touches you, she saps your energy, she gains your X-Men ability, and you slowly die. It's kind of like that. How Rogue's power is always on, Juliet's power is always on, Anna's powers are always on. But the problem is that if she does try to contain it, it'll eventually like cause her so much harm and pain that she'll eventually just let it all go, and it's gonna be too much for everybody. Or if she uses it little by little, well, the more she uses it, the more she loses herself. Like eventually she'll lose herself, and the final person that touches her when she loses herself, like her power takes full control of her body. They get like this. They get the most power that she can release. Like they become the most unstoppable human. That's what they're said. Like the person with the most unstoppable quirk. It was given Elsa from Frozen because of that, like, because someone could touch her because they'd be in physical pain because they weren't compatible with her. Her father locked her away, and, like, she lived by herself. She grew up alone, ate alone. If you did see her, you were kept at a distance, so she never had physical contact, never had physical love. And that's when she meets this butler guy named Julio, who has a quirk called, her quirk is called over-modification. And then his quirk is called nullification. So Julio could touch her by nullifying her powers. It did cause him pain, but he would do it because it helped her have a normal life. Like, it shut her powers off temporarily. So she was able to finally have somebody to hug her. She could have somebody she could talk to. She got somebody she could become a friend with. And it's very quickly seen during the illusion scene with a woman, like, can trap you on illusions that, like, they're in love with each other. Like, subtly. Like, he's supposed to be her butler / assistant. He's just supposed to work for her. But, she fell in love with him because he's the only man she can touch. He is the only woman that can touch her. Vice versa. So they kind of fall in love with each other because they always spend time together. Which they don't hate it. They like, seem like they have a friendship, but they fall in love. Now, I definitely was getting like a Romeo Juliet kind of vibe from them. Very, very cute. Also, the other thing about Julio is he's kind of like a human cyborg. They don't say how, but like I think his right arm's gone and it's turned into like all these different kind of weapons. He doesn't have a quirk, but he's just like a cyborg. He has an eye that like, is robotic, and his left leg is robotic. Given Full Metal Alchemist in a way, not exactly. I know, just making comparisons to give you a visual idea. But again, I believe their love story. And also, she made him promise to kill her. So when we first meet Julio, he's trying to kill her constantly. And, she isn't hesitating. She's willing to accept death. And we don't know why. But Deku's like, hey, we don't kill people. Like, you obviously seem like you're hesitating to kill her, so what's up? And that's when Deku learns that, like, they're friends, they're in love with each other. But Anna told him to make a promise to her, like, if she ever loses control, if her power ever takes over her, and, she's going to basically destroy the world, because her over-modification is going to, like, give somebody the most unstoppable quirk, unstoppable power. She's like, kill me before that happens. And he made that promise to her because he loves her. Now, that's why Dark Knight's after her. So he's trying to kill, Julio's trying to kill her, the woman he loves, because he doesn't want nobody abusing her power. He doesn't want nobody taking her for granted. And we get some hilarious, fun gags from this guy. He was about the best part of the movie. Better than the guy from, again, World Mission, because that was just a side character. Almost as cute as those little kids from Heroes Rising, and I don't remember who the side character was in the first My Hero Academia movie, because again, I forgot that one. But yeah, it definitely amplified the story having him in there. But yeah, he didn't want to kill her, and thankfully, in the end, he doesn't. Spoiler warning. I mean, spoiler. Obviously, if you're watching the video, like, I'm talking about the whole movie. But yeah, spoiler, in the end, like, he saves her, even though she loses control and turns Dark Knight. It's like the ultimate villain / hero. Although he's stopped by Shoto, Shigaraki, and Shoto, Deku, and Bakugo again. Which again, I'm going to talk to him about in a second about like what I thought would be different. But it was very cute. So yeah, so now I'm at the end of my notes talking about the battle. So yeah, in the end. Towards the end of the fight, after taking out multiple members of the Gulini family, which some of them were taken out in very creative and fun ways. I liked how, like, Julio took down the illusion woman. I won't say how. Definitely see that for yourself. It was very funny. It made me laugh. But at one point, they asked the shadow guy. I think his name is Todoroki. Is that the shadow guy? Hold on, let me double check that too. Well, I'm gonna call him Todoroki. Shoto Todoroki. Whatever guy, the shadow guy. I forgot his name, and my computer's named dumb. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. Again, I'm towards the end of my notes anyway, so not going to worry about it. But like, they team up with him, and they're like, hey, come help us take down the main villain. But before they get to the main villain, they fight these like random Nomu-like clones. And he gets left behind to fight him, so I was like, oh, I guess we are just ending it like usual with those three. And in the end, Deku does take him down. He does like major damage, showing like Deku is the most powerful hero. But by that point, I still felt nothing because again, I finished My Hero Academia and I didn't believe Deku was the strongest hero. Like I know I had seen it throughout the series, but Deku, we never saw you master all these quirks. We never saw you combine all the quirks. Even at one point, all 8 all 8 other users of All For One except All Might show up in his like mind palace. They're the ones that wake Deku up when he's trapped in the illusion. And they're just like, hey, you're an illusion, wake up, dude, and they're gone. So they barely played a part in the movie. They just had their little 1-second cameo and they were gone. I guess it made sense narratively, but it would have been cooler if they had stayed in a little bit longer, maybe in the dream sequences to like, I don't know, do something. They were just kind of like a plot device. But I mean, it worked because we have seen them help Deku throughout the story before. But yeah, it was a flashy ending. It wasn't as dramatic as when in World Mission when Deku like, you know, goes 100% and like creates like multiple clones of himself or like after images of himself. It wasn't as dramatic as Heroes Rising where he gives Deku a piece of One For All and they both go Super Saiyan basically. It wasn't as probably dramatic as the first My Hero Academia movie, which I don't remember, but like this one, when Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto all charge at the main villain Dark Might, who's been amplified by overmodification into this giant grotesque monster. I just still didn't feel anything. Like, they defeat him twice. It's kind of like a two-phase battle, because the first time they take him down, it's like with their like plus ultra abilities, but the second time they take him down, it's after he's been overmodified by Anna, whose power has been unleashed, and they just kind of take him down like these flashy attacks. But like, again, I just didn't feel anything towards this ending. Don't know why, but I love Heroes ending. Definitely my number 1 movie for this. This is number 2 because of the love story. I'm definitely going to buy this one on DVD. And World Mission, again, I guess it'd be number 3. Although I just like the beginning and I kind of zoned out towards the end. But the ending was probably kind of fun because I like the villain 9's powers. But yeah, that's all I have to say. It's the second best in the quadrilogy. Heroes Rising still being above this. And although my last thought is that I wish it would have been post My Hero Academia's ending, because this is coming out post the movie. Like, he could have wrote this before the manga ended, but if he knew how the manga was ending and he knew how the manga was going to end, I would have wrote something like post that. Like, this could have been a villain rising up because All For One is down. Like, it could have been post Shigaraki's death. Like, he's like, oh, you know, new villain's going to rise up, so I'm the new symbol of justice. He doesn't know about Deku yet. You know, it could have been pre-time jump. It could have been like Naruto the Last movie, where Naruto the Last is before Naruto became Hokage. And, you know, it's during that 7-8 year period where Naruto was just like, you know, chilling in the Hidden Leaf Village during the time of peace. So that's what I would have done. But overall, good movie. Definitely gonna see it. I saw it dubbed. It is showing out. It came out yesterday or officially today, but I go see my movies on Thursday. So definitely recommend seeing it if you're a My Hero Academia fan or just an anime fan in general. You probably have a good time. Better than Spy Family, Code White. We're not gonna talk about that. I like Spy Family, but that Code White movie it just wasn't it. Anyways, that's over this video. Talk to you guys in the next one. Bye. Hey guys, this video was sponsored by me, the author of the Shinry series, the Chronicles of Wayne, and Monsterverse. So I figured I'd do this outro a little bit different by showing you guys what you guys would be checking out. So, the Shinry series starts with Book 1, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. 10 years after the death of his parents, Shobu Samurai returns home seeking vengeance, but instead faces a choice to save his home from shadow creatures, blood beasts, and an organization once thought dead. Shinry's Shobu Samurai starts at $9.99. And if you love anime, manga, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Fairy Tail, Shaman King, Rave Master, Zatch Bell, anything like that, the Shinry series is definitely the series for you. You'll definitely want to check it out. The Sword of Light is probably the thickest one so far. And then these books are 2. This is Enter the Dread Zone Tournament. And the series original ending, Arado the Legendary Konjuis Master. So, and I'll just show you guys some of the covers. Really proud of all of these. But I hope you guys check it out. If you don't like that, I also have the current published books for the Chronicles of Wayne, Love Be Damned, Cotton Candy, Full Moons, Fabled Lovers, A Cursed Virgin's Bite. If You Go Where Monsters Dance, Red will Rain Over Your House. Love Be Damned. Now, the Chronicles of Wayne is about a geeky guy, or a nerdy guy in high school. His senior year, he has a crush on the hottest guy in school, because of course he does. He's only got one best friend, and her name is Barb. Well, the hottest guy in school turns out to be a werewolf. And to make the story more interesting, he bites Wayne and turns Wayne into the first ever wolfman in the last 10 years. And because of that, it was also a sacred law that wolfmen should never be created. I don't want to get into too much of the Chronicles of Wayne without spoiling it, but I can tell you it's very short. This one sells for $6.99, and Love Be Caged right after it. the ending of this trilogy, Love Be Liberated, comes out in October. So I'm going to definitely do a more full in-depth review of this one. But yeah, it's an LGBT fantasy fiction story about werewolves, vampires, white witches, a dark warlock, and, well, many, many more surprises to come. So if you guys like to read, I definitely recommend. These are all the books so far in the Shinry series, except for Shinry's Beginning. I do have that one, but it's just not here with me. But yeah, I appreciate a like, support, or just a review on Amazon. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day.